Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. The White Sox are adding bidets to their clubhouse. Tone, do you have a bidet?
I'm Tony Kornheiser, no. But I've got a bucket and a garden hose.
Okay, that's
that.
You're starting off the show the wrong way. I thought this was some sort of prank. No, they're actually doing this. I know the Japanese players are used to bidets wherever they are in Japan. And so more and more American clubhouses, as they become more and more Japanese players, are having to facilitate this. So good. Good.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It actually is a good idea. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Bob Kraft does not make the Hall of Fame. The Grizzlies trade Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jeff Saturday joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the news that 41-year-old skier Lindsey Vonn has indeed, quote, completely ruptured, unquote, her ACL. You would think that would keep her out of the upcoming Winter Olympics, and you would be wrong. Vonn, who was in the middle of a brilliant comeback after 6 years of retirement, plans to ski anyway in this Sunday's downhill. She said, quote, it feels stable, it feels strong, I will do everything in my power to be in the starting gate, unquote. Wilbon, Lindsey Vonn's was a hugely compelling story before this injury. What is it now?
An inspirational story. I mean, there just aren't that many people who would want to try this, much less be able to try this in the Olympics. I mean, when I hear of that injury, Tony, and then a willingness and a courage to play through it, I think of Reggie White. I'm sure there's a few people in various sports over a long period of time, particularly back 60, 70 years ago, when you didn't have the ability to deal with a wrecked knee as you do now and come back in a year. People just had to play or go away, retire. I think of Reggie White. But then when I heard this about Lindsey Vonn, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, this seems to be who she is. The good knee is titanium. So what are we talking about?
Yeah.
She just seems to be, I'm going to say this, and maybe I'm going to say it anyway. She's a badass. Lindsey Vonn. Who's cooler than Lindsey Vonn? I can't wait to see this, if she's out there. If she's not, God bless. If she is, can't wait to see it.
Okay. So my feelings are similar to yours. If the question is, what is her story now? Her story is now a movie. It's a blockbuster comic book movie. If she skis, she doesn't have to win. If she skis, it's going to be the biggest story in the Winter Olympics. The only Winter Olympic story that I remember being bigger than this was in Lillehammer with Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. I was there. I wrote about that every day for 2 weeks. If she skis in this, she's on that level. The slight difference is the downhill is actually this Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, where with this figure skating, which came at the end of the Winter Olympics, there was a 2-week buildup for it. I feel like you do. How could you not root for Lindsey Vonn at this point? Especially since where they're going to compete on that course in Cortina, she has won 12 times, which is a World Cup record. Yeah. And to your other point, downhill skiers are crazy as loons, and you cannot take your eyes off them. Remember Franz Klammer? Remember when he flew off the mountain? Off the mountain. Yeah. So, yes,
I mean,
I'd watch.
It's breathtaking.
I will watch.
Tony, the Super Bowl thing is amazing. Look, so in this country, her home country, that's the only place where you won't be the #1 attraction for eyeballs and television, because the rest of the world ain't caring about the Super Bowl, no matter what the NFL and all its sycophants wants to tell you. They'll be watching Lindsey Vonn. Let's move to the report. The Patriots owner, Bob Kraft, will join Bill Belichick in not being inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame this coming August. Like Belichick, Kraft reportedly did not receive the 40 votes necessary from the 50 Hall of Fame voters. The Patriots have won all 6 of their Super Bowls under Kraft, of course. Tone, what do you make of this?
So when I first heard this, my initial reaction was to think that it was somehow conspiratorial, that voters, when they realized that Bill Belichick didn't get in, they knocked Kraft out so that they could stay on the same level. And I said, what are you talking about? This vote was weeks ago.
Yes.
Nobody knew when they voted that Bill Belichick was not going to get in. So what I think we have is this incredibly weird coincidence that 2 of the big 3 of the Patriots now, the coach and the owner of the team with the most Super Bowls in NFL history, they are not in the Hall of Fame. It got me to thinking, are they going to keep Tom Brady out when he becomes eligible? They're going to knock him out for a year as well. I mean, I find it's just, what are my notes? I said that it was just so odd. You've talked about this. I know your feelings about this, the voting, that you can only vote for 3 out of 5. And a lot of people want to vote for players who they think are wronged by not being in at this time. So I think it's maybe overblown what we're talking about, but I think it's very good for TV. It's just easy to talk
I hadn't thought of that, Tone. Look, I know how this works. And the more people I listen to on television, I know 95% of them don't know how it works. And I don't even know how it works because I've been gone from that room too long and they've changed the voting, the system. But this system seems as screwed up as the one I was in the room under for 10 years. And that system, like this one, that system sometimes forced you to keep alive the eligibility of someone you thought was worthy. And the only way you could do that was to not vote for someone you also knew was worthy you could vote for next year. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Yeah. And people don't understand it. Players don't. Talking heads on television don't. And so now it's changed slightly, like you mentioned, the people who were involved in the Kraft Belichick. So, Tony, you know what? I'm annoyed with the whole thing. The Hall should be embarrassed. They should change the voting. Change it, damn it. Just change it. If this doesn't embarrass you, what does?
I had no idea that Roger Craig wasn't in the Hall of Fame. I had no idea. Of course I would have voted for Roger Craig.
Of course, yes.
I would have voted for L.C. Greenwood, and I would have voted for Bill Belichick, because I think that Halls of Fame, you vote players and managers and coaches in ahead of owners. There's some great owners who are in the Hall of Fame, but I would have gone the other way. And you know what, Mike? I just assumed that the three of them, that Brady and Belichick and Kraft, are going to get statues outside the stadium in Foxborough. I just assumed they'd do that anyway. We move on. The NBA trade deadline is 2 days away, but we've already got deals to discuss. Wilbon, your Bulls sent center Nikola Vucevic to the Celtics for guard Anthony Simons. The Grizzlies sent Jaren Jackson Jr., who I know you love, and spare parts to the Jazz for a package of 4 players and 3 first-rounders. But more intriguing to me is the ESPN report that the Clippers and their star guard James Harden are working to find a deal before the deadline. So, Wilbon, you go. Where do you want to start?
Tony, I guess I'll start with this. None of this stuff is going to make much of a difference on the season. These aren't impact trades. They just aren't. People can go crazy. They can scream and holler about the deadline's coming. It doesn't mean a damn thing. They just aren't players. Unless you tell me Antetokounmpo is going to be traded somewhere like Golden State or San Antonio or wherever Minnesota, then we're on to something. Okay, so that's my first take. I'm like you. I like Vooch going to the Celtics. Good for him. I don't like giving him up for the Bulls, but they need to do something. The Jaren Jackson trade sounds doesn't mean much going to Utah. Not this year, maybe in future years. So I'm going to go with you. I know how much you were one of the few guys 10 years ago who loved James Harden then.
Loved him.
I know you've been very consistent. And you know what, Tony? Yep. Harden has a certain value now, which I think is even greater than his value a few years ago, because he does less. But even less, he's averaging 25 and 8. And I think Cleveland could actually use him. And they get better in some ways with size and things that Harden can do that Darius Garland doesn't really do as well. So maybe I'll back off of it just in the case of James Harden.
Yeah. So my feeling about this with James Harden is I want to know, did he initiate this? Did he go to the Clippers and say, get me out of here, I don't want to be here anymore? Did the Clippers come to the conclusion that he's a long-term liability on some level and they wanted to get rid of him? His history indicates that he initiated it. Didn't he force his way out of Houston in order to go to Brooklyn? He forced his way out of Philadelphia in order to go to the Clippers. Yeah. He's on his 5th team already, his 5th team, which is really a lot for an MVP and a superstar player, but so is Kevin Durant. You know, so this happens in the NBA. He's a Hall of Famer. There's no team in the league that isn't going to be better for having him. 25 points, 8 assists a game is 3rd in the league, right? Yeah. It's really good. Yeah. And he plays every night. But here's the but, Mike. In the playoffs, it hasn't been there. No. In the regular season, for his career, 24 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, shoots 43.8% from the floor, 36 from 3. In the playoffs, 22.5 points, 6.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 42.5 and 34. He's down in all categories.
Yeah.
So you have to know what you're getting. If I thought I could win right now, I would want James Harden. But I have to acknowledge what his history in the playoffs have been. So let us take a break because I went through the bell. Coming up, we will talk Super Bowl with Jeff Saturday. How does a team show resilience after a big play goes against it?
We'll ask him which team he's leaning toward to win the actual game. Tony, I think that Harden, a little bit less is more. I think we might be at a stage for Harden, even at his advanced basketball age, where he can help a team this close.
The PTI investigative team has learned that it's Super Bowl week, which makes it a perfect time for a visit from our great friend, ESPN NFL analyst Jeff Saturday. Let's start with this. Robert Kraft reportedly did not make the Hall of Fame. You worked closely with him on the collective bargaining agreement in 2011, and you two famously hugged. People remember that. How do you see Kraft's importance to football?
Oh, Mike, I mean, how do you describe football in the past 3 decades without Robert Kraft being in the mix of it? I mean, this is ludicrous to me. You're talking about a guy who's owned the team for 32 years. This is his 11th Super Bowl with 3 different head coaches and 3 different quarterbacks. If there's anybody that you can't describe the league over the past 3 decades without him, it's Robert Kraft. And set aside all that he's done for the NFL, growing the game with the media outlets and all the conversations we had with the CBA. Just as an owner, strict owner, he's been by far the most dominant. How he did not get in, it baffles me. Again, this is another black eye to the Hall of Fame. Bill not going in, first ballot, and now Robert Kraft. It's embarrassing. And the worst part for me, fellas, is this. When the guys do get announced on Thursday or whatever day they finally get announced, the things we're all going to talk about is the 2 who didn't get in. And that's not the way it should be. Our game should be defined by the guys who can get rubber stamped first, and those 2 guys should have. It's disappointing to me.
Point well made, Jeff. Let's go to the game, and we'll stay with the Patriots. So I'm going to ask you about defensive tackle Milton Williams, who had 8 pressures against the Broncos. So what's Seattle? That game film didn't get thrown away. They know exactly what he did. What the heck are they preparing to do this week?
Oh, you better buckle that chin strap. I mean, you listen, here's the issue, too, for the Seahawks in the internal part with Bradford, Anthony Bradford, their guard. The movement, right? The movement, the head shakes, the movement, the setting up your moves kind of gets Bradford kind of off his market point at times. And that Milton Williams is going to come at you. And the one thing I will tell you about Mike Vrabel, coach football teams, if they can't get home with 4, they're going to bring extras. They're going to move Sam Darnold off his spot. And if you think about the way the Rams played them in the championship game, you're rushing 4, you're going to kind of play coverage behind it. The Patriots aren't going to do that. They trust their corners. Milton Williams is going to be a circle for that offensive line. Make sure that internal presence gives somewhere for Darnold to step up, not get pressured. It's going to be a heck of a matchup. I'm fired up to watch that one.
I want to tap into your personal feelings and memories about the Super Bowl for a second, Jeff. You, of course, crushed my hopes when you beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. But that game starts off, and here's where I want to go to ask you about recovery. Devin Hester takes the opening kick. I watched it again the other night because they're just talking about you can't kick to Devin Hester. You can't. Boom, and he breaks it, and he starts the game in that manner. Were you back on your heels? Did you chuckle? What do you remember about that historic moment?
Okay, you're going to love this. And I know you being a Bears fan. So we talked about it as a team. Tony, he stood up in front of the relay. We're going to kick it to him. We're not afraid of anybody, right? We're going to play aggressive. We're going to kick the ball deep. We're going to let them return. Our special teams are going to rally. We're going to do this thing. Rain is pouring, right? Ball gets kicked, flashes, all that kind of stuff. You're seeing him. You see him catch it, and Peyton and I are standing side by side, and you watch him. You watch him break the first tackle. You watch guys miss, and he's housing it. And I remember looking over and I was like, well, God, I hope we don't kick it to him again because he'll keep hanging them on us, you know what I mean? And that was really, and we were like, boys, it's time to strap it up and go to work. Like, we totally knew that was their best chance to beat us. It was that special teams group, and he was so lethal, and he starts it off that way. But you know, anytime you have something happen to you that early in the game, you know, that's the beginning of a fourth quarter, or even what happened to us against the Saints with the onside kick in the beginning of the second half. It wasn't quite as deflating because we hadn't even touched the field yet. So, you know, but it still was a gut punch. But thankfully, Tony realized Hester's not going to be part of this game plan the rest of the game. We're going to avoid him at all costs. Blame that one on Dungy. That's what I always say.
Tony. I love that.
That is a great story. All right, we'll get you out of here on this as long as we're going to talk about the game. How do you see it right now? Which way are you leaning right now, and why?
Oh, I think this is an awesome matchup. And I think if as you're looking at this thing, my heart kind of goes Patriots, right? I got a Tar Heel at Drake May being a quarterback and Mac Hollins, who's a receiver for them. So I want them to play well. But you look at this Seattle team, and they are just loaded up. And I love both. I think both defensive lines have the advantage, especially when I look at the Seahawks line and you look at the Patriots. They've given up 15 sacks in 3 games, and 11 of them against a 4-man rush. So it's not like you're having to blitz to get home. They're going to have to bolster up and play through that offensive line to give Drake May some time. He got a sore shoulder, and it's all about big plays. If the Patriots can make big plays down the field that they've done this season, they'll have a shot at it. If Seattle squashes that and makes it a drive it, 5 yards and hope for some long drives, I think the Seahawks walk away with it. So, but I'm fired up for it. I haven't picked yet. I'm still thinking about it, but it's going to be a heck of a game, fellas. I'm fired up.
Jeff, thank you as always. Thanks all year.
Much appreciated.
Heck yeah, had a blast.
Let's take one last break. Still to come is Matt Nagy, the man who can help the Giants get Jackson Dart to the next level. Wilbon's boy, Matt
You want
Nagy.
me to answer that? You don't want my answer. The Cardinals deal away yet another star. Does their strategy make any sense?
It makes you so happy to talk about Devin Hester, doesn't it?
Devin Hester is one of the 3 most exciting Bears players in history. Gale Sayers,
Really?
Walter Payton,